If your take on a generalist approach is talking a whole lot of nothing about a whole load of nothing, then you're not going to stand out. You stand out by being a human and by telling stories.
If you are trying to design your own life, niching down gives you the time to think and become that expert without muddying the water with a whole bunch of other things to think about.
Welcome to the Creator Wizard Podcast. We've got another episode of Creator Debates, where we have stupid arguments to help creators make smart decisions. My name is Justin Moore. I'm your host and referee. Today we're talking about the pros and cons of picking a niche or being a generalist. You know, when I started making YouTube videos educating creators, my tagline was the business of being a creator. And, you know, I was talking about affiliate marketing and digital products and newsletters and fan funding and, of course, sponsorships, but I was not a sponsorship coach at that time. And I'll be honest, you know, I didn't see much traction because people didn't really understand what my shtick was. You know, after about a year, one of my followers actually DM'd me and said, "Why are you talking about anything other than sponsorships? That seems like your wheelhouse. You should stop talking about all that other stuff." And I said, that's a pretty good idea. And so I doubled down on exclusively helping creators find and negotiate their dream sponsorships. And it was an immediate inflection point for sure. But at the same time, I miss helping folks with all those other aspects of diversifying your business as a creator. And when I do, people kind of seem surprised that I can talk their ears off about all that other stuff. And I would say in my most existential moments, I wonder, is it better to pick a niche or be a generalist? I'm honestly not sure, which is why I asked two experts here today to settle this debate once and for all. Jason Resnick is a former web developer and today an email marketing and automation expert with over 20 years of experience selling digital products and memberships online. As the founder of Nurture Kit, he's all about building personal human connections through email and turning subscribers into loyal customers. He's also a ConvertKit certified expert and Drip certified consultant. Millie Tamati, on the other hand, has spent a decade exploring 65 plus countries, has co-owned a hostel in Thailand, co-founded a wine tour in Australia, and launched an illustration agency in the UK. Today, Millie is the co-founder of Generalist World, an accelerator for modern generalist careers. She proudly goes by many titles: founder, community builder, bootstrapper, speaker, mentor, and yes, generalist. So by the end of this episode, you'll know whether picking a niche or being a generalist helps accelerate your personal brand, which will help you grow your audience and revenue faster, and honestly, the only thing I really care about: who is a better creator debater, Jason or Millie? So let's get into opening arguments. Jason, tell me why having a niche is so important as a creator. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Justin. The importance of having a niche as a creator cannot be overstated, at least in my opinion, and hopefully by the end of this, your opinion as well. Let me share why this approach has been critical to my success as well as many others. First, having a niche provides clarity and establishes authority faster than being a generalist. It puts you in a space with less competition, and with less competition, people come to you because, well, you're known for something. And because you're known for something, word of mouth becomes way more easier and much more organic. There isn't a week that goes by that I don't get pinged multiple times because of someone having a question about ConvertKit. Secondly, a niche allows you to dive deep into building connections and relationships with your audience. And that empowers you to really share authentically stories because you speak the same language, use the same phrases, use the same words. And because of that, that's a superpower that you have as being a niche expert, because you could create content and marketing becomes so much easier. Jay Abraham, marketing genius, says, and I'm reading direct quote, "If you can define the problem better than your target customer, they will automatically assume you have the solution." Which leads me to my final point. Niching down streamlines growth and scalability, which I'm sure we'll dive into here. So I'm not going to play my hand fully. But I will say, Justin, you aren't the only Justin that's been on this show that's proved through niching down, you can grow and scale successfully and build a business designed around and build a life designed around your business.
All right, Millie, it's your turn. Why should creators consider being a generalist? 2 minutes.
Thanks so much for having me. That was awesome, Jason. So just first caveat, the work that I do with Generalist isn't strictly from a creator lens. It is much more of a work is changing forever. Nobody teaches you what to do in this new era and how to be successful. But I would totally consider myself a generalist creator too. So to answer your question, I think it really depends on what your goals are. So for me, I want to be creating, whether that be content, products, teams, companies, for the foreseeable future, for the next decade. It gives me so much energy and I just have a literal ball doing it. So how I think about my approach is via a framework that I call known, own, and tone. So this is different from niching down. The first thing you want to do, you want to get really clear on 3 to 4 things that you are going to be known for. Then you lean in and you own those things. You find your voice. You quit trying to be like everyone else. You speak in your own way about topics that genuinely light you up and that you can do so for 10 plus years. Now, there's a few reasons that this works really well, particularly for generalist creators. And these are the questions that I ask myself. Is this sustainable? I want to be doing this long term. I don't want to burn out. I don't want to get bored day to day talking about the same old thing. Number 2, am I building deep trust? So my audience sees me as a 3D human. They know that I'm a founder, but I'm also bootstrapping from this little island. They know I build in public. They know I'm an advocate for rural entrepreneurship, etc., etc. And this has landed me so many opportunities. Number 3, I ask myself, am I being the most genuine person in the room? I used to think that I had to be the expert to rise above everyone else, but I realized that there is huge value in others recognizing themselves in you and being like, how did she do that? How did she get to where she is? And the last one is kind of a new thing I've been noodling on. And I asked myself, does this culturally resonate or technically resonate? So in a world of like growth hacks, I gotta be faster. Nice. You'll have to come to the essay.
Complete this. You're gonna have to complete the thought in one of the other rounds, I think. Very interesting, though. So let's actually get into round 1, which is all about personal branding. Okay, maybe this is an interesting topic for both of you because I think how we market ourselves is critical. Millie, you touched on that. Jason, you touched on that when it comes to building our brand and kind of, our potential audience or customers having clarity about how we can serve them. And so, Millie, I want to go to you first on this one. So how can you market yourself effectively if you're a generalist, right? Aren't niche creators more likely to be seen as like leaders in their field? 2 minutes.
So up front, I want to offer a reframe. So a generalist is someone who has had a career that spans diverse roles, industries, different expertise. And I like to think of this as a spiky career. So rather than a straight linear line climbing the career ladder, a generalist sharpens their skills in one area, or as I call it, a spike, and then they collect these spikes as they go, and then they connect dots across spikes in new and interesting ways. They are likely fantastic learners and go-getters, and they also usually have very novel perspectives. So the point on being a leader in your field is interesting because I would argue that many folks in leadership get there because they have diverse career experiences, not in spite of. And it's the breadth that sets them apart to be like really well-rounded leaders. So for the people in the audience, why do spiky careers matter and how can you leverage them? So we know that the world of work and the world of creators is changing. We know that it's never been more competitive, and we know this because it has never been easier to create and distribute content online. So how do you stand out? Either you become the top 0.001% in your niche or you die trying, or you tactfully build out your spikes. And in my take, this is not only way more fun, but it's also an insurance policy. So if, or more likely when, AI does a cheaper, better, faster job than you at your skill, you are agile enough to lean into the spikes, the other spikes that you own. I got more. Let me know how much time I got.
You've got 30 seconds left. You got something else?
Oh, sweet. Okay. So the other point I was thinking is it's about trajectory. So if you are a generalist creator, the truth is you might have a slower start because it takes time to build this trust. You're not just talking about the one thing. But when people convert to fans, they become very, very loyal. So GW has been called a cult more than once, and I have been called a cult mother, which is kind of hilarious and creepy. And I attribute this cult queendom to showing up not just in one domain, but many. That's it.
All right, I've got so you're kind of breaking my brain right now because you're kind of describing me because I was in medical devices before this. Pretty much the opposite of like being a creator. And I've had a bunch of different lives. I've had a lot of chapters. I ran an influencer marketing agency. I've done a lot of different things. And I very much can like look back on the path that has led me to where I am today. As one of the chief reasons of why I have been successful, because I've been able to hearken back to some of these experiences in a prior life. But I'm not sure. I've looked at it through the lens of like, well, maybe my generalist experiences have led me to the niche or I consider myself, having this niche now. Very interesting. This is interesting. All right, Jason, I want to go to you now, man. This is I don't know if you're ready for this, but curious now. Like, don't you think that you will pigeonhole yourself if you pick a niche that's maybe too narrow? 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's a great question because it was what I wrestled with myself. And so you are breaking my brain just a little bit here, but hopefully I can bring it back to the straight and narrow here. But what I found from pigeonholing or niching down, depending on how you want to frame your question here, is first, by going deep on a niche, you can then go wide. Look, I am known for ConvertKit, but truth is less than half of my clients and customers use ConvertKit. They use other platforms as well. It's the principles in email marketing and automation that resonate with my audience and therefore allows me to even branch out if I want to and serve different audiences and talk about different platforms and copywriting and other email topics. Justin Welsh, who a former creator debater here, he helps 9-to-5ers build a solopreneur business. And he just passed, I think it was a couple of months ago, $7 million in revenue in less than 5 years. And until this year, in my opinion, he had 2 niche products. One helped you grow an audience on LinkedIn, and another one was creating content around your newsletter. And this year, he launched a new product that is a broader, more general course that helps his existing audience in other areas that they need help with. So that's the first thing. The second thing is by starting deep, you can even go deeper, right? Through and diversify your business. Look, many creators start out selling services like myself and products to that specific niche, and then they build out coaching programs and courses and write books and even get paid to speak, like you, Justin, right? So by going even deeper into the niche itself, you can then diversify and bring other areas into your business that you might have not imagined before.
All right, fascinating. Well, congratulations. That is the end of round 1. Moving on to round 2, let's talk about growth. Everyone wants to know what they need to do so that they can grow and succeed, right? And so, Jason, going to you on this one, do you think there's instances where having a niche impedes your audience and revenue growth?
Audience growth? Sure. If you look at my followers on YouTube, X, Twitter, whatever, LinkedIn, you'll see that just by the sheer numbers. Even my email list, I'm an email marketing expert, isn't nearly the size of lists of people that I've worked with in the past. However, it hasn't impeded my revenue growth. My YouTube channel, even though I don't really post regularly, outside of the launch that happened a couple of years ago, continuously sends me new subscribers every single week that then turn into customers. Working one-on-one with clients and I've learned processes and repeatable patterns that have allowed me to essentially serve a wider audience or go down market, if you will, and add new revenue streams into the business that today have people coming into my world and buying things on a regular basis that I never would have imagined offering in the first place. So by niching down, I've found my ideal and happy customers. And through those testimonials and stories that I share and having that well-defined niche, I've been able to increase my rates, not compete against other individuals in the same area. And through that, I've been able to create even more specific and targeted content for things like my book a day service and other products that lead to more business. So while audience growth, the audience itself might be smaller, the revenue opportunities and growth haven't been stifled by that.
Interesting. Well, Millie, let's go to you. Do you think that having a broader skill set or experience set ever forces you to compete with and stand out from like a lot more people who are also doing that? 2 minutes, curious.
I think that's like saying, don't bother writing a book because there's so many authors. Like, yes, there is a lot of competition, but no, that does not strike me out of playing the game. People will be buying books till the end of time on one condition, as long as those books have an edge. And an edge to your spikes is what you need to find and what you really need to hone in on. And so again, it is all about the execution. So if your take on a generalist approach is talking a whole lot of nothing about a whole load of nothing, then of course you're not going to stand out. If you're not creating genuine, real value and actual connection with folks, you're not going to stand out, specialist or generalist. So how do you stand out? You stand out by being a human and by telling stories. Now, I know that the word authenticity gets thrown around way too often, but if you think of your favorite creators, what do they have in common? Chances are they feel very real to you, and chances are they're great storytellers. So my best advice, if you are a generalist, a specialist, or somewhere confused in between, I would advise to invest in becoming a really great writer. So great writing is literally great thinking. And if you don't have clear, interesting, novel thoughts, it's really hard to translate that mediocre thinking into a great creator brand. So how do you stand out? You intentionally put yourself in interesting scenarios with interesting people. You be a lifelong learner. You be curious. You be super helpful. And you be on a continuous practice to becoming a better writer and therefore a better thinker. And I think that will serve you well and help you stand out.
Well, Jason, I'm sure you want to chime in on that, but first, a word from one of our sponsors. Real quickly, remember your first podcast episode, your first YouTube video, your first blog post? Think back to how it felt to hit publish on that early piece of content. Now, look at how far you've come. Your content has transformed, and so have you. But has your email marketing platform kept up? Do you even have one? Enter this episode's sponsor, ConvertKit, which is the email marketing service designed specifically for creators like you and for me, because I use it and I love it. Whether you're crafting newsletters, managing subscriptions, or sending updates, ConvertKit grows with you. With easy integration for your blogs, your podcasts, your YouTube channels, and your e-commerce stores, ConvertKit ensures that your email marketing works as hard as you do. Look, I'm gonna be real with you. When you press publish on platforms like YouTube or TikTok, you're kind of at the mercy of the algorithm for your content's reach, right? And to prove it to you, I'm actually gonna pull up one of my recent Instagram reels. Okay, I'm gonna click the insights here. Okay, look at this. I have 11,300 followers, and this reel reached 301 accounts. So quick math, that is 2%, 2% reach. Contrast that with my average open rate in ConvertKit, which is between 40 and 45%. So which one do you want? 2%, 45%, 2%, 45%. Which one are you gonna pick? So take control with ConvertKit. Here you can own your audience relationships directly. There's no middleman, there's no unpredictable algorithm changes, just a direct line to your followers. ConvertKit isn't just another tool, it's a partner in your creative journey. So if you're ready to create with freedom, automate with ease, and engage your audience like never before, build a platform you own. Start with ConvertKit today at convertkit.com. That's convertkit.com. All right, let's get back to it. All right, Jason, I'm curious. Do you have any thoughts on Millie's perspective here? Because actually, quick anecdote. I have actually gotten messages from people who have regretted jumping around to too many different things over a short time period, to the point where they never felt like they had any sort of longevity to let people know that they could help them with that particular thing. And they were looking for advice, like which one should I pick or which one should I do? And so Jason, I'm curious, like, first of all, thoughts on Millie's perspective and as well as that anecdote.
Yeah. So I echo Millie's statement on storytelling, being authentic, and really having the time and space to think about things. However, I would argue, though, that if you are a generalist and you're talking about a lot of different things, there isn't so much time. I mean, in my world, I have 2 young boys, a family, a big family, extended family, plus a business. I don't have a ton of time to think about a lot of different things. So for me, thinking about email marketing, automation, it's about all I got time for, right? And truth is like, I mean, and I'm thinking about it standing online at Disney World, I mean? Like my wife is like, can you just stop thinking about work? So for me, like having the ability to think deeply about a single topic and really go deep, like Justin, you mentioned your anecdote there, like people look for effective solutions and top tier solutions at times. It's like, if I was competing in a marathon, I'm not going to go to the local gym and hire a personal trainer. They're not going to have the tools and resources to tell me to win that marathon. I'm going to go look for a marathon coach to personalize the training regimen, the diet, and all of the resources for what shoes to wear and things like that to help me win that marathon. So my sense is that if you are trying to design your own life and try to be a creator and have the time freedom that you're looking for, niching down gives you the time to think and become that expert without muddying the water and the gray area in your brain with a whole bunch of other things to think about.
Millie, two questions. One on the topic of time, which is like we only have a limited time here on this planet of like, especially if we want to like have some sort of semblance of work-life balance, but also the depth piece that he was mentioning of like, especially with, as you mentioned, wanting to potentially have a exit strategy or plan B to fall back on if AI takes over your job or whatever. Aren't people going to gravitate towards depth? Like people who have depth of thought over surface level expertise?
I would say maybe this is to each their own, but for me personally, when I follow my curiosity and when I am having almost like in flow with the work that I'm doing, that to me is the best work of my life. And for me, that does look like, and again, it's not about doing or talking about loads of nothing. It's about picking 3 or 4 things. They might look seemingly disparate. They might look like they're not even connected, but they do all influence each other. And to answer your second question, I'd actually love to give an example of a member of our community to the point of depth. Her name's Erica. She is a neuroscientist by trade, PhD neuroscientist, incredibly intelligent, but she has a deep passion for art, the brain, science, and research. So she's got all of these interlinking pathways. And so Erica's followed this path where she has a PhD in neuroscience. She then became a product leader in a mental health tech company. She is now working on this like neuroscience. You put like hardware on your head and it's like an immersive art experience. And that is the kind of example of what happens when she didn't follow the linear path. She didn't go into academia, right? That was her path. That's what she should have done. But instead, she followed her passions. And now she's creating these incredible immersive experiences in London to Pink Floyd, where she's measuring your brain waves to see how your brain responds to Pink Floyd, and it appears as clouds. That's the best way I can explain it. And she is a self-identified generalist, even though she has incredible depth, like on paper, right? Like a PhD, pretty good depth.
Well, we're getting over to the dark side of the moon here. That is the end of round 2. Moving on to round 3, let's talk about adaptability, okay? Because things are constantly changing. Trends, algorithm changes, developments in AI. It feels like so much is up in the air. And so, Millie, going to go to you. Do you think that being a generalist helps you be more adaptable to this type of unpredictability? 2 minutes.
Short answer, 1000% yes. I work with this emerging market of talent who I call expert generalists. And the surprising thing about this is, in fact, we do specialize. We specialize in figuring it out. That is what our specialty is in. There is a stat I read the other day that has really stuck with me, and that is 65% of young people will work a job that just does not exist yet. Isn't here, does not exist. So the only guarantee that we have of the future is that it's really crazy. It's going to be uncertain, unpredictable, and very different. And just last week, I wrote an essay that went completely bananas on social media. I'm happy to link it. And it was called How to Win in the Adaptive Economy. And the premise of it is that those who learn fast, adapt quickly, and apply expertise across diverse domains win. And just to go a little bit deeper, I believe there's 3 ways that you can win in this economy. The first is by tools. So those who effectively and efficiently can use tech as a tool will have better work and life outcomes. The second is network. Those who build deep, strong networks will be super resilient. They'll have access to more opportunities. And my bet is that we're going to see more verticalized career communities, such as Generalist World, to become the trusted home for people who are navigating ambiguous, uncertain careers. The third is distribution. The people who will win in this economy will not be the ones who have the widest distribution, for example, like giant influencers, because that barrier to entry is now so low, but those who have the most trusted distribution, which comes back to building your spikes, building this deep audience, this cult-like following. And my final point is that being a generalist is not being anti-specialist. It is about stacking your diverse expertise, your diverse skills in new and interesting ways to capitalize on this uncertain future with lots of challenges, but also lots of opportunity.
Very succinct. Jason, on the subject of adaptability, if you have a niche, doesn't that make you more vulnerable to changes in your market? 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, focusing on a niche means that you have to pay attention and stay updated with changes in your market. But I think that's also to your advantage, right? As someone who is in a niche and looked at as an expert, is that you are more aware of changes, trends, you're in tune with that industry. Whether it's a positive or a negative shift in the market, you kind of can see it coming. This gives you that ability to anticipate changes maybe before they happen and give you the ability to even adapt quicker and ahead of the curve, right? So, because of the ability that you have inside the niche itself, as far as looked at as an expert from an authority standpoint and the deep relationship, I want to bring up Millie's point to the network, right? Your audience is super loyal because they value your specialized knowledge. That loyalty can help you when the market shifts in a positive or negative direction. I mean, that's precisely what happened to me when Lead Pages bought Drip. My customers and audiences, they were looking for someone to help guide them and try to figure out, what should I stay with Drip or not, as Drip decided to change direction away from online businesses who sold digital products and courses and things, more towards e-commerce and Shopify businesses. And so that's how I became an expert in ConvertKit, because ConvertKit served the needs of that audience better, and my audience followed me along. So the strengths and strategies of the niche approach can effectively mitigate a lot of these risks through rough, turbulent waters in changing markets.
Super interesting. Well, Jason, Millie, it is time to make your final appeal. On the other end of your camera, on the other end of your microphone, is a creator who is relying on you to make this tough decision. So what is your most salient argument for why they should pick a niche or be a generalist? Jason, you have 1 minute.
I built a business designed around my life. I wanted to build a business that allowed me the time, freedom, and flexibility to travel, spend time with my wife and kids. Even before I had kids, I knew that I wanted to be home to see those first steps and hear those first words. And when I was a generalist, I wound up burning out. I landed in a real dark depression even, and to a point where I had a conversation with my wife, then fiance at the time, about going back to work and working for somebody else in a cube or whatever as a coder, because I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong at the time, and my bank account reflected that, and I didn't know which bill to pay on that any single month. And so I didn't want to put her through those ups and downs. After that hard conversation, I learned a lot of things. But through the discovery from my professional side of that conversation, it was that being a generalist wasn't allowing me to succeed. And, well, 11 plus years after that conversation, having that difficult period of my life and learning about niching down, I'm here with you today to share that story and share my experience with you. So if any of that resonated with you, join Team Niche and we'll do it together.
Thanks for sharing that vulnerable moment, Jason. I'm sure that was very tough, and glad to hear that you have emerged on the other side of that. Millie, you're up. 1 minute, your most salient argument.
This is going to be a weird answer, but being a generalist is not something you necessarily choose. It is an approach to life, it is an approach to your career, and an approach to work. And the beauty about it is when I speak about it, I get what I call a hot or cold response. Either people are like, holy shit, this is the most important, resonant thing I've ever heard in my life, or people are like, don't really understand what you're saying and that's not for me, which from a product perspective is perfection. Folks can easily, very easily, either self-select in or say, I don't think that's for me. So I guarantee there will be listeners, there will be viewers screaming internally, maybe externally too, I don't know, saying, I did not know this was a thing. I did not know there were others like me. And I know this because before I found a generalist world, that was me too. And now our network spans over 40,000 spiky careerists. So you are not alone. And my advice to you is lean in. Everything unlocked for me when I stopped trying to dilute my skills and pigeonhole myself into a box. Team Generalist.
Mic drop moment. Well, thank you so much, Millie and Jason. And now you, dear creator, watching and or listening, who won this creator debate? You can let us know on social media by tagging @CreatorDebates. You can tag Jason and tag Millie. And so Millie, hit us with the call to action. Where can people learn more about Generalist World and follow you on social media?
Yes, so the best place to find me, I'm very loud, very active on LinkedIn. And I would like to challenge folks who resonated with this today to write up a post and tell me what hit home for you the most. Tag me in it, tag Generalist World so I can help amplify you. And everything you would ever need to find for Generalist is at generalist.world. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Jason, hit us with your CTA.
Sure. You can find me on YouTube. You just look for NurtureKit. You'll find my channel. And I'm active on X @Res with 3 Zs. And if email is important to you and your business, go ahead to find me at nurturekit.co/blueprint, where I will gift you the blueprint for your new subscribers' first 30 days to becoming customers.
Awesome. Well, now it is time for Creator Debates After Dark, where Jason and Millie are going to stick around for a little bit longer and share their stories and spicy hot takes on the creator economy. These After Dark episodes are available exclusively to students of my Brand Deal Wizard program and community. So if you'd like to support what we do here and level up your sponsorship strategy, make sure to check out the link below. And finally, if you enjoyed this podcast, there is one simple thing that you can do that is totally free and truly helps us out. Will you tell a friend about the Creator Wizard podcast, whether it's sending them a text message with a link to this episode or posting about it somewhere on the internet? The only way we can reach more creators is with your help spreading the word. So thank you. All right, that's a wrap. Until next time.